Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you are well, staying safe, staying healthy, all that good stuff. I'm going to jump right into the updates that we have received thus far. We've really only seen some of these documents and gotten some updates just basically as of Friday. So, a lot of new developments, certainly. So we're just going to go through as much as we can. I haven't had anyone from CAR do an overview of these documents, but I know a lot of people have been really interested in what is going to be happening going forward. And I just wanted to go ahead and read through them all myself and tell you my interpretation of what they all are. They're pretty self-explanatory. I also will say it's very possible that we will only be using these forms for the next 4 weeks because, right, I think June 15th, we're supposed to have our tier system end or expire and mask mandate disappears. But for the next 4 weeks, here's what we got. So I'm going to go through each one of these documents and go over what they are, how it impacts you, and hopefully make your lives a little bit easier for the next couple of weeks. First of all, I will copy and paste this link here. All of our COVID documents, by the way, from CAR, the California Association of Realtors, they're at CAR, right? CAR.org. And then under Transaction Center, there is risk management. This is where we have COVID legal documents. Okay, so this is where I'm at. There's a whole bunch of other documents that are here as well, but basically we're focusing on the updates, which are these 6 links right here. The first 5 are new forms or modified forms from what we've already had. I looked earlier today, maybe around noon. They were not available in zip forms as of yet. I would imagine by tomorrow morning they will be. But the PDF documents are here, ready to be used for you right now. Okay, so I'm just going to go in order as they appear on the screen, and let's take a look. So our first form is the BPPP, the Best Practices and COVID Prevention Plan. Now, we've had this already. When it first came out, it was like 9 or 11 pages. And then it got shrunk down to a 2-pager, and now it's down to just 1. And what it does is it mirrors all of the the showing requirements for the state. Okay, this is for the state of California. Now, oftentimes counties or cities have other restrictions, but for the most part, LA County is now in lockstep with the state of California, as is Orange County, and I don't think Long Beach has their own rules as of now either. So basically, 1 page now. One of the parts of the California Department of Public Health orders says that real estate companies need to have a prevention plan for the spread of COVID-19. Okay, and that's what this form was created to be. And so basically, this is what we've got: showing rules for agents, cleaning and disinfecting, and rules for visitors. So what have we got here that has been updated? Well, very simplified, obviously, as we can see. And then it reinforces agents should meet clients in the property. They should not be driving together. It does reaffirm that we need to post the posted rules for entry, the 1 page, the 2-page previously, now 1-page pictogram that needs to be posted on the property that says, here's the rules for being in this property. And that still needs to be posted. It says here that we're supposed to remind our clients to maintain physical distancing, not to touch anything when they're inside of a property. And this would be for showings and for open houses, by the way. It says here that during showings that we should open windows and doors and create ventilation and air circulation so that there's no stagnant air. You know, as we know, COVID is generally spread through, respiratory droplets, inhalation, et cetera. So we want to have airflow as much as possible, weather permitting, which shouldn't be hard here in Southern California. And then to follow California guidance on gatherings, which requires showings to be kept short, right? And it requires that we follow basically the requirements noted on the tier-based system. So we're in the orange tier right now. Before that, we were in the red tier. Before that, we were in the purple tier. So I'm going to go over what that says for how many people should be in a property at any given time. But part 1 of this is people need to be socially distanced, which means 6 feet away if they're from different parties. So that would apply to an open house. If you have multiple groups coming in, they need to be 6 feet apart. If they can't be 6 feet apart, then probably you need to stop entry, let people get in, get out, move on to the next group. So that's the showings for listing and buyer's agents, which includes open houses. Cleaning and disinfecting the property and sanitation products. This is a good one. First of all, recommendation is that we have cleaning and sanitation products on hand sanitizer, face coverings, disinfecting wipes, for use by visitors as needed, because one of the rules for visitors is that they will either wash their hands or sanitize them prior to entry or right upon entry. The second one here is cleaning protocols. So previously, we were required to clean and disinfect and sanitize commonly touched surfaces before and after every showing. Okay, that has been changed now to a minimum of once per day, which is fantastic. So we don't have to be cleaning the property and spacing showings out as much as we may have in the past because of that new cleaning protocol. So that is one change that I think is significant for all of us as agents to not have to deal. Rules for visitors. Okay, so we had rules for agents, cleaning and disinfecting protocols, rules for visitors. Prior to entry, all persons will sign something that basically says that they've either signed a PEAD or are agreeing to the rules to follow the showing protocols. So we're going to see a couple forms that relate to this. There is now one PEAD for everybody, and it only needs to be signed, guess what? One time. Okay, so no more having your buyers sign multiple PEADs for multiple showings, for multiple entry into properties. It's one PEAD for all, unless health circumstances change, which we'll see in a second. Second rule for visitors, by signing the PEAD or the sign-in form, which we'll see in a second here, they are agreeing to follow the posted rules of entry and everything noted on this prevention plan, which we have to provide to the entrants and occupants to properties. And you'll see that giving him this document is as simple as having him sign the PEAD, because the link to this document is on the PEAD. So we'll see that in a second. Visitors must maintain 6 feet distance. Visitors must wear face covering. So the mask mandate still in effect, and everybody must keep their face coverings on at all times when showing the property. Okay. It does note here that if there is any sort of extraordinary circumstance with disabilities or someone who cannot wear a face covering or face shield, that we will engage in an interactive process to discuss any available reasonable accommodations. Okay. I think at this point in time, most people are pretty well versed in wearing masks. So just let them know it's part of the rules. Okay. All visitors must hand sanitize or wash hands immediately upon entry. And then lastly, don't touch anything. Okay. There is a last section here for sellers and occupants of a property. And that basically is if current occupants are present, then they should adhere to the same standards regarding physical distancing, cleaning, disinfecting, etc. So previously it was recommended that sellers vacate. They still probably are recommended to, but if they don't want to leave their property while there's a showing going on, 6 feet apart and, take action with the cleaning protocols. Okay. So that is the new updated BPPP. And as always, guys, if you have questions, feel free to unmute, raise your hand, all the normal Zoom stuff. Let's look at the next one. So that is the BPPP. This next one is the LOHA, Listing Agreement, Open House Addendum or Amendment. So most of you are taking listings and you're having your client sign the RLA-CAA, the Residential Listing Agreement, Coronavirus Addendum and Amendment. And it's stated in there regarding showings. There's some conflicting verbiage now that we have changes to showings and open houses. And so this is designed to either amend a current listing or become an addendum to new listings to discuss open houses and showing protocol. And you're going to see much of the same that we've already kind of just looked at. So first and foremost, does the seller agree or not agree to allow open houses? They have a choice that they would need to either sign as is if they agree, or check this box if they do not agree. If they do agree, then we're telling them that everybody that comes in is going to be required to register at the property by either a sign-in sheet or a digital sign-in, which we don't really have a tool for digital sign-ins quite yet, but a sign-in sheet, or they'll give us a PEAD form, okay? I will say, kind of interesting, at open houses, for so long, it's been tough to generate, the client's phone numbers and email addresses. Well, now they're kind of required to give you their information. So for those of you that struggled with getting people to give you contact info, you will now have that. Okay. The sign-in or PEAD will contain the entrance agreement to follow the BPPP form we just looked at and abide by the posted rules of entry, which we'll look at in just a second. I think you guys all know roughly what they say at this point. They're also signing this PEAD to note that they do not have COVID-19, or they haven't been in contact with somebody with COVID in the last 10 days, or that they do not have any symptoms. Actually, I see an agent that just joined who asked a question earlier today. That was a great question. What about people that have been vaccinated or show evidence of being vaccinated? Nothing in any of these documents referenced vaccinations or an excuse to not have to wear face coverings or follow the rules, or just the rules for showings and open houses. No exceptions, basically, at this point. Okay. Hopefully that helps. All right, let's see here. Next is the showing requirements. And again, same stuff that we've kind of already seen here, but prospective entrants, I'll say, purchasers or visitors must use face coverings, follow social distancing between themselves and others who are not a member of that visitor's party. So if you have a family coming in or a group of people that are all together as a party, they each don't have to stay 6 feet apart. It's just the different groups that are coming in. So you'll probably need to monitor your open houses. Are you guys together? Yes. Okay, please stay together. And other groups need to maintain their 6 feet apart. And it'll be up to you guys to decide how you're going to manage that. But you may still decide to just allow one group of people in at a time, but you can't advertise for open houses now. So anyways, it is your obligation to follow these rules, obviously, as well. More about, the same things. Agree to wash hands or sanitize upon entry, open doors and windows for ventilation, weather permitting, clean, touch surfaces at regular intervals, at least once a day. Again, cleaning requirements down to a minimum of once per day as opposed to before every showing. And then there's a scope of broker duty. And I love these paragraphs, folks. These are in a lot of our contracts. What are we responsible as brokers? What this basically says is that we're going to abide by all the rules on this form, on the best practices form, on the posted rules of entry. But we can't and we won't verify the representation of others. We're not going to guarantee or even enforce compliance with instructions. So if somebody, refuses to wear a mask and just walks into the open house, you guys are obligated to physically restrain them or kick them out, right? That's not something that you have to do. If we do become aware of somebody's failure to comply, our obligation is to inform the seller and do everything we can to prevent future access by that person in the future, okay? It also says here that seller wants the potential benefits and assumes the risk of allowing others to enter the property. This is called an assumption of risk clause. It's not a hold harmless or a release of liability. It's just saying, hey, you're allowing this because you want the benefit of more people into your home because it could mean you're going to get a higher price. And therefore, you're assuming the risk of doing exactly that, letting people into your home. So the next part is a release here. Seller releases broker and its agents from loss, liability, expense claim, or cause of action that may arise by allowing people in, okay? When you add this form to a listing agreement or amend a listing agreement, the new PEAD will be attached, the PEAD all, right? We had a PEAD V, we had a PEAD S, we had a PEAD LR. Those are all going away. We're only going to have a PEAD all going forward. The other ones still are applicable and you can use them, but this is the replacement for it. And again, we'll look at that in a second here, okay? And then everybody signs. Pretty simple at the bottom there. So that is our new listing agreement open house addendum or amendment, basically giving you authorization. Let's keep going. Okay. Our third form is the new PEAD. I'm sure you're all going to be excited for this. It's the PEAD all. And a couple points of interest here that I will go over. Sorry, I'm just moving a few windows around here. Bear with me. Okay, so basically our PEAD all is replacing the current PEAD V, PEAD S that we have. So it notes here that this applies to all persons allowing access to a property, whether it's a seller, a landlord, a tenant, any other resident, a property manager, a broker, an agent, or any other persons. It applies to all visitors, okay, whether they're a prospective buyer, whether they're a prospective tenant, an inspector, a repair person, an appraiser, notary, stager, broker, agent, or other accompanying the visitor. Okay, so it's for any entrant or occupant. So it applies to everybody now. There's only one. It also notes here, a visitor does not need to sign a separate form for each property or every entry, but instead may provide a copy of the PEAD all to whoever is the occupant or representing the occupant. So what does this mean for you guys? As a buyer's agent, you're out showing homes, you only need to have your buyer sign this one form one time ever. Not for every listing that they look at, not for the 2 or 3 or 4 times they go into the home they're in escrow on. They just sign it once when you meet them, and that's it. Your sellers only need to sign them one time. Okay, so this is obviously big. No more Saturday mornings getting 10 PEADs out to different agents. Once you have this signed by your buyer and yourself, you can just provide a copy to the other party. Okay, so awesome news there. Alrighty, yes, hallelujah, indeed. Let's keep going. So it says this form should not be used if circumstances change and the representations are no longer accurate. Okay, remember, this is a declaration, a health declaration. And so if things change, there is verbiage here that says the use of this form must stop and a new one would need to be signed, noting any sort of exceptions. So we'll get there in a second. Okay. Number 1 is the principal acknowledgments and authorization. So this would be basically your occupant. Principal, or I'm not saying only the occupant, I should say. It's whoever this document applies to. Okay, so whether it's the occupant, the entrant, whatever, it's for everybody. It says the principal is voluntarily entering or allowing others to enter. It says that a set of rules, including pictograms, will be posted at the entrance of the property. So we still have the PRE, the posted rules of entry. We'll look at that in a minute. It's been shortened as well. And the principal has been provided, okay, principal has been provided the BPPP form and will comply with the terms of the BPPP. Okay, one second. Okay. All right. Principal representation. So now is where the health declaration part of this comes into play. Katie asks, is this effective immediately? Yes. This is all as a result of the state of California's change in adhering to the CDC guidelines. So these are absolutely in play as of now. Should be in zip forms. My guess is by the morning. The second part here, number 2, is the principal representations. Again, the declaration part. To the best of your knowledge, you're not currently afflicted with COVID-19. You have not been exposed as far as you're aware, and you are not been in contact with anybody in the last 10 days. Like I said, not experienced any symptoms. And then 2C, you will inform the broker if after the date this document is signed, there is a change in your health condition or knowledge that potentially puts others at risk or invalidates the representations made in this document, in which case you will cease using this PEAD all as a representation to any other person. Okay, so this what we're basically saying is the PEAD all, it just stands unless there's a change. A change would be in any of 2A and B. Did you get a diagnosis of COVID-19? Were you within, have you been in contact with somebody in the last 10 days that has COVID-19? And have you had any symptoms that are similar to COVID-19? So we're assuming that people are going to do the right thing and tell us if there is a change in the representations they have made on this form. Okay. Again, this is a declaration, a statement of their current COVID-19 condition with these couple of um, notes here, which include again afflicted with, exposure to, or symptoms. Okay. Um, Paragraph 3, accompanying minors. So by signing below, basically the adult principal that has the minor with them or minors are making the same representation that is on this form on behalf of the minor. And then in paragraph 4, they would note who those minors are. So anyone under 18, their parents or their guardians or whoever's their responsible adult can sign on their behalf, making the same representations. If there are any exceptions, paragraph 4 is where you would also fill those exceptions in. Like if somebody says, I have been running a fever. Okay. I don't know if you would let that person in, but they would note that here. Or, somebody at my work did contract COVID-19. Therefore, I need to tell you about that. Okay. So you need to explain this to your clients so they, give you the proper representation, the proper declaration. All right, paragraph 5, the agreement, the declaration, the assumption of risk by signing below. The principal is declaring that everything on here is true. They're assuming the risk of either entering or allowing entrance to a property. And they understand and agree that no one, including but not limited to brokers and agents, can guarantee that you will not be exposed to or contract COVID-19. Please sign below. And that's it. Okay, so you as agents, you'll all sign one of these and just have them saved on your phone. And then every client you work with basically is going to sign one of these one time. Thank goodness. That will make things a little bit easier. And again, I bet in about 4 weeks, these are all going to go away. But for now, this is what we got. All right, let's keep going. So that was our new PEAD, which is awesome. Next first we have the PRE. We already had the PRE. This is the posted rules of entry. This previously was 2 pages. Now it is not. It basically says, before you come into this property, remember this is posted at the listing. Technically, it's the listing agent's responsibility to have this posted. I would bring one with you guys when you're showing property with buyers, just so you can tape it up to the door real quick while you're in and then take it down when you leave. It says here, you've either signed and completed a sign-in sheet or a digital sign-in process. I would use the sheet for now because it has declarations on it. Or you signed the PEAD all, and you've either given that previously or given it at the property and given a copy of that signed form to the listing agent. So we still are giving the declaration, still giving it to the listing side, but it's just the one that's pre-signed already. So what are they agreeing to? Washing hands or sanitizing immediately upon entry, wearing a face covering, practicing social distancing between yourself and other groups, okay, not including your own household. So obviously your own household or even the group that you're in there with, that everybody else is 6 feet away. And then lastly, don't touch anything in the property. The rules state that you're going to follow federal, state, and local laws and stay-at-home orders, even though they're changing rapidly. And with that changing rapidly, folks, I expect almost on a weekly basis for the next 4 weeks, we're going to get some sort of tweak to all these, either the forms or the rules, because things are changing so rapidly. So, with that said, just stay tuned, be aware, and I'll post updates as we get them. And then another representation, right? And it's the same one. You're not afflicted with, you haven't been in contact with anybody in the last 10 days with COVID, you don't have any symptoms of COVID, and you will inform the broker if your health circumstances change after you have signed the PEAD all. Okay. If you do have COVID, or if you do have symptoms, or you have been exposed, please do not come into the property. And then notices to comply with California health requirements. Okay. So that's it. That's the PRE. Already had it. Going to continue to use it. Print it out. Have a few with you in your car. The last new form is the PSI. This is what you're going to use at open houses. Okay. Open house and showing guidelines sign in. This is designed to replace the PEAD for people coming into open houses. It's pretty simple. Okay. All persons entering the property agree to follow the BPPP, which can be accessed at the address below, which is right here, okay, which is the link that I am pulling all these forms. That's a public link for people, okay? So number one, we're agreeing to the BPPP. Number two, we're going to follow all the posted rules of entry, which we just looked at. Wash your hands, wear a mask, social distance. And number three, we're making the same representations. We don't have COVID-19. We haven't been in contact for the past 10 days with somebody with COVID-19. You're not experiencing symptoms. And if there's a change, you will notify your broker. And then the rest of it is just a sign-in sheet, right? Old school, just like we used to use. You have them fill it out. I would say, again, insist on its completion, right? With all fields filled in, name, signature, email, phone number, time. And if they want a copy of the documents, we'll be happy to provide that to them. Let's see, we got some chatting. Each member of a family or group sign. Yes, all entrants, all occupants. Everybody is going to sign either this or a PEAD unless they're a minor. If there's a minor, you probably should have copies of the PEAD that the adult can fill out. So I'd print a bunch of these out and just have them available for everybody, okay? Let's see. So that is our PSI, property sign-in. One more document, and I'm going to post this in our Facebook groups later, complying with the industry guidance showing rules, which includes open houses. This is a 2-page quick guide that you guys can use basically for understanding how the open houses are working now. Okay, so let's go through this. Number one, we may now advertise open houses without qualifications. This includes MLS or other places. I believe I saw that CRMLS did reactivate their open house fields so that you can now post them and to get distributed out to all of the different websites out there. No appointments are required. Remember, previously, all showings were by appointment only. So no more appointments required. Multiple groups now are allowed in the property. For open houses and showings, you may now have more than one individual or connected group of people on the property. The number of groups will depend on what tier we're in, and we'll look at that in a moment, okay? A couple things here under A and B. One, A says social distance between households. So we have to still be able to keep 6 feet away. You can't just let 50 people into a home at a time, which could very well actually happen with the demand for listings right now. So you're going to be responsible as agents to make sure that each group can stay 6 feet apart and conform to whatever tier for indoor gatherings. And again, we'll look at that in a moment. B says, again, adjust and limit the number of people in the property at any given time to achieve social distancing. Face masks are required. You should have extra masks available for those who do not have one. Sign in, all persons should sign in digitally or in writing. Right now, again, we have a sign-in form, the PSI we just looked at, and it has those agreements that we need. So I would just plan on using those until somebody releases some sort of a digital sign-in with those same declarations. What should the sign-in include? All the things that we just saw. Follow the PRE, the posted rules of entry. Follow the best practices and prevention plan. Confirm you don't have symptoms, that you haven't been exposed, you're not afflicted with the virus. Number 7, can I still use the PEAD-V? Guys, if you want to use the PEAD-V, go right ahead. I think you're all going to probably pivot over to this one pretty quickly. But both the PEAD-V, the PEAD-ALL, they all accomplish the same thing. The PEAD-ALL has been shortened and is designed to make things easier, so you only ever have to get one signed unless there's a change in health circumstances, condition, etc. Let's see. How can I determine the maximum number of people? So social distancing is the first and foremost. Okay, if we can't keep people 6 feet apart in a home, then no go. Okay. Secondly is the tier system. And the tier system currently for the state says no more than 50 in the yellow tier. Okay. So unless you're showing a mega mansion, I don't think we're going to have 50 people in a property in Lakewood right now. Okay. So knowing that, just use your best judgment to make sure people can stay 6 feet apart. If that means one group in at a time, you got 10 minutes, get out, then that's fine, right? If it means you can have 2 or 3 groups, you'll have to make that call when you get to the property to see how, people can interact and go look at the house. I'm thinking in my head right now, if I have one hallway leading to 3 bedrooms, you're probably only having one group go down that hallway at a time and then out, right? So again, it may very well mean that you're at the front of the house, maybe with another agent helping, and you're letting one group through the house at any given time, just based on the size of homes that we typically show around here. That may be the best way. If we do slip back into another tier, the amount of people reduce, but the only time it would be one buying party at a time would be if we go back to the purple tier, the most restrictive tier, in which case that would change. But for the most part, I think that you're probably only going to ever have 2 or 3 groups max in a property at any given time right now. This is my guess. What's required for the PRE? It's got to be posted. It's got to be visible. You can also add these PRE and best practice plan to the MLS in the supplement section. Number 10, what are the cleaning protocols? We talked about it already. Once a day minimum to clean. Some areas may need more frequent cleaning. So it does say here more frequent cleaning might be needed when the space is occupied by young children and others who may not consistently wear masks, wash hands, cover coughs and sneezes. If the space is a high traffic area or if certain conditions apply, you may choose to clean more frequently. So you can choose, obviously, to clean more than less, minimum once a day. Okay. Other precautions, as we discussed, open doors and windows, introduce fresh air, ventilation. Does this change any protocol for appointment-based individual showings? Really, no. It should all be in line with the open house. The showing is a showing, whether it's an open house showing, an appointment showing, it's the same stuff. Come in, have your mask on, wash or sanitize, social distance, follow the PRE rules, sign the PEAD or the sign-in sheet, and make sure you've received a link to these documents. And that's pretty much it. Okay, pretty much it. That is the 2-page quick guide that we have available by CAR. So, with all that said, that's it, folks. That's the new and exciting, I can't stand how exciting it is, new rules that my guess is we'll have for 4 more weeks and then they'll all go away, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm just guessing. Does anybody have any questions that I can answer at this time?
Nick, you're going to post these on Spring Street?
They're in the chat. I'll post a link to all this stuff in the Facebook groups. Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Any other questions, folks?
Nick, does this affect the open house sign policy? Like we can start throwing up our open house and directing traffic towards listings again?
You absolutely can do your normal traditional open houses following all of these rules, including LA County, folks. As of Friday, that was not allowed. And then Friday night, they adhered to the state's guidelines. Anything else?
Nick,
Yo.
with a PEAD all signed, let's say an orphan buyer walks into the open house, they have a PEAD all signed that they went and signed from another open house. Can they just say, we don't want to sign in because we already did at this previous one, or do they need to sign in at every open house?
From what I understand, if they present a PEAD all, they have made their declaration to a broker. It doesn't have to be us. It's just they've made that declaration. So I believe that they can use that PEAD all. Would you prefer they sign in your sign-in sheet? Of course.
I'm not like I didn't hear that. Yes, okay, got it.
Yep, you got it. Anything else, folks?
Nick, how many people can sign on a single PEAD all form?
I think it allows for 2. Let's go take a look at it. But that doesn't necessarily mean it can only be 2. I think if everybody has the same declaration, there's only space for 2 signatures. I don't know why you can't have 4, 5, or 6 people sign this one, right? As long as you've got their name printed, a signature, and a date, I think that is probably fine, assuming they're all making the same declaration.
Yeah, because if we can be on one of the forms along with the buyers, right? Same.
Yeah, for you guys, what I recommend is get this PDF, sign it right now, save it on your phones, and just have yours done at all times. Because you guys will only ever need to sign one for the rest of time or until the rules change. And that's it. So you won't need a different one.
Oh, so these are not dated? You don't have to do one every day.
You date it because that's the date you're making your declaration. And you'd only need to do a new one if you have a change in the declarations that you've made,
Gotcha.
or
Okay.
if there's a rule change that we
So it's good till you get sick. Okay,
basically, yeah, or get exposed or get a
Yeah.
symptom or whatever. So yes.
great.
Yeah. And Nick, would a client sign one and carry that one from house to house, or would they have a stack to pass out from house to house?
No, they don't. They should. I would say a client should have a digital copy of a signed one. That way, they can. If let's say let's say it's your client going to a bunch of open houses, they can
Right.
say, "I've already signed this. Here it is on my phone. If you'd like, I can email it to you." Right.
Okay.
Or if you want to hand them
So-
a printed one, that's fine too.
Yeah, because I'm thinking that's as good as, we give them our business cards to hand out and say, stop, I already have somebody, but the PEAD would do that as well.
Yeah.
So they're not giving their information out at every open house,
yeah. I think
potentially.
I guess the only way to avoid giving their email would be to have printed copies of it, because it doesn't ask for any contact information on here. So that may
Okay.
be one thing to keep in mind. But yeah, I think if you just hold your phone up and say, I'm represented by an agent, I've already signed the PEAD all form, and here it is. If you'd like a copy, I can send it to you.
Thanks.
So it'll be a little coaching for clients still, again, but it is what it is.
Are we going to be required to collect all PEDs for people coming in and putting those part of our file and uploading those, like it's just part of the file? Is that something we're going to be looking for, or we just kind of have the one PED from the buyer who ends up buying it?
You should have a PEAD for every person that comes into your listing. Everybody, and I know it's a pain in the ass, but send it on over to the TC and they can bundle it into one PDF and upload them. But yeah, we want to keep a copy of everything your clients are. Anyone that enters is signing with these, health protocols that we're having to follow. And again, my expectation is June 15th, this is all going to change again. So we'll see. We'll see. Any other questions, any comments, any concerns for today?
Do they need the PEAD if they do the sign-in thing?
The sign-in accomplishes the same thing as the PEAD. So
Yeah.
if somebody comes into your open house and signs in, that's good, but it's only applicable for that house. It's only applicable. So if they go to another open house or
They have to
another showing, they'll have to do the same exact thing.
I see. So for their purpose, it would be great to have it on their phone. For our purpose, it'd be great to have them just sign in, and then we don't need their PEAD.
For our purposes, either one works. The sign-in
Okay,
helps you collect their contact info.
got it.
I can see
Nick?
even writing into the sign-in sheet on the bottom that says you're agreeing to be communicated to by us.
Okay.
Nick,
Yep.
hey, this is Lauren Friedman. Quick question. The quick, that 2-page quick form to see what's going on.
Yep.
Where is that? I'm sure I've seen it in Matrix before, the quick guide, but for some reason I can't seem to find where it is.
So the quick
You
guide is
happen-
not in the MLS or in zip forms. All these documents, which is accessible to the public, are in CAR. They're under Transaction Center, Risk Management, COVID legal documents.
Okay,
And remember, guys and gals, as of this instant, these forms, or at least as of noon today, I haven't looked right. I didn't look right before the class started. The new documents and revised documents were not available in zip forms yet. They will be imminently. My guess is by tomorrow morning. So if you need them, this is where you go to download the PDF versions of them to start using. And to reiterate, it is all effective immediately. Anything else, folks? Sounds pretty quiet. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm recording this. I'm going to post the links. One step closer to being a little bit back more to normal. This will help be a little bit easier going forward. If you have any questions, you all know where to find me. I appreciate you all. Talk soon. Let's go sell some houses.
Thank you so
Nick.
much.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
You're welcome.